Welcome in, everybody. Ty Bartell in with another edition of Coach's Corner. This time we go into some NE8 boys action with the Girard Indians head coach, Craig Hannon. Coach Hannon, how we doing today?
Doing great. How are you, Ty?
Not doing too bad, Coach. I'm kind of curious how you guys are doing in practices, how things are lining up, what you've been seeing from your group of guys, who's returning, who's some new faces, and what do we expect to see from the Indians this year?
Well, the good news is we returned quite a bit from last year, so our practices have gone pretty smoothly. This group of guys knows what to expect. We return, anywhere from 6 to 7 letter winners, including, a group of seniors, 7 seniors that have played a lot of basketball even since their freshman year. So practice have been good. As far as guys returning, obviously Thomas Cardero, Gus Johnson, Bobby Algiers, Mike Palmer, Ryan Fitzgerald. Those are guys that have been around in our program here now for 2 to 3 years. Some new faces. Obviously, we're hoping once Steven Sims recovers from basketball or from football that we get him back. Jordan Johnson, a kid that also lettered for us last year, is another new face. Then Noah Edwards and Chris Cardero, 2 guys off the bench, 2 juniors that I think could possibly help us. So a lot of guys have been in the program for a long time. Practices have been pretty easy to put together, and now it's just about cleaning it up and getting ready for that December 2nd date with Ursuline.
When you talk about getting ready and just looking at what you got right now, what would you say are the strengths of this team going into the season? And what were some of the, weaknesses or things you wanted to shore up from last year going into this year that you want to see?
Strength-wise, just our experience. I just think guys know where to be, what to do, what we expect. I think our leadership will be strong just because there is a good group of guys back. As far as things we need to work on, I think just overall our shooting ability needs to get better. But they worked at that this summer. I think at times last year we got frustrated when shots weren't falling. I think if we could knock down a few early in the year, it'll help us. So I think those things will really help us as we move forward.
We talk about the NE8, and it's always a tough conference. It's highlighted by some great teams. Struthers with Coach Wernicke is always tough over there. Not to mention, you got great teams with Poland always just having success as well. But looking at that conference, I'm sure you talk about the experience that you have. There's got to be some serious talks between the team, the coaches about making a run for that conference championship. What kind of needs to go right for Girard, and what do you need to see out with this team to be able to accomplish that?
Well, we as a staff and as a team have the utmost respect for our conference. So for us to attain that goal and win it, we talk about big goals all the time, one of those being the Northeast 8. We're going to have to win some road games that are going to be tough. You have to walk into Struthers. You have to walk into Poland. You have to go even games that are next door rivals like us, Hubbard, Niles, driving up to Jefferson, going to Lakeview. These are hard games. So you can bank on winning your home games, but you're going to have to steal some road games along the way. And I do think that in order to win the league, you're going to have to win a few road games that maybe you aren't supposed to.
You got to find the kind of tough-nosed athletes that are ready for that kind of competition. What are the things inside of the practices that you and your staff are looking for that determine if an athlete's getting playing time, if he's getting any starting minutes? What are those things you need to see out in an athlete to give them some time?
Well, I think more than anything, they give us constant effort. I think one thing that gets you on the floor more than anything else is just playing as hard as you possibly can. And all of our kids at Girard always has had tough kids. This is my 11th season now, and I don't think we've ever really had a soft team. And I think our kids play hard. I think it's just in them. I think Girard's always been that way. So if a kid's trying to vie for playing time, they better play pretty darn hard because the guy behind them and the guy in front of them are going to do that.
Looking at some of the non-conference games that you guys have lined up this season, what are some games you're excited to test your boys with this season, non-conference wise?
Well, I'm really looking forward to December 2nd with Ursuline. We had that opener last year. It was a great early season game. I think it'll be another one this year. They're Division II like us, so a possible tournament type team. Keith Gunter and I are dear friends, and we enjoy competing against one another. So I look forward to that one. We have not played West Branch in my 11 years here. We have West Branch late in the year. I think that'll be a great matchup for us. I'm glad Coach Brown reached out and wanted to play. Just a team that we have no familiarity with other than just seeing them on film or whatever. So those two, really looking forward to it. The rest of our non-conference opponents are teams we've played in the past. I think our non-conference schedule is as hard as anyone in the area. And we did that knowing the experience we're going to have back just to get us ready for Northeast 8 play, and Division II tournament play.
I love what Coach Gunther does over at Ursuline, and I think that is going to be a great premier matchup to start the season. Look, talking about leadership-wise on this team, when you have a class of so many seniors, sometimes, there's one voice, sometimes it's many voices too. How does the leadership dynamic look on this team, and who's kind of like the voice that leads them, and who's kind of the guys you lean on for that leadership?
Well, leadership can come voice or voiceless, and our
no doubt
our returning guy, that has led us in scoring the last couple of years, and Thomas Cardero isn't a very vocal kid, but he provides so much in how hard he plays and how hard he works, and I think some of our other guys feed off that. And then some of the other guys like Mike Palmer, Bobby Algiers, Gus Johnson, Ryan Fitzgerald, they provide leadership in other ways. Some vocal, some not. I just think it just depends on the type of team and the type of guys you have, and it's a good mix with our senior group. It's a mix of guys that show you, and it's a group of guys that tells you, and I think that always helps when you have a good mix. The less I have to say, the better, because they get sick of hearing me anyway. So if they want to pick up the slack on that end, great.
You mentioned too over a decade of being with this program too. What kind of keeps you coming back to Girard? What's that draw? What keeps you wanting to, keep progressing this team, keep coming back every year and keep saying that you're the head coach of the Indians?
This is a special place. I've said that since I got the job. This is a place that, things that happen here don't happen everywhere else. I've been so lucky and so fortunate to be hired here when I was hired, 11 seasons ago. And just that Girard kid, it's a special place. The people, the community, it hasn't changed. It's still the same people that have been around when I got hired. And I think that's really important and really special. And I've just so enjoyed being the head coach and representing this community. And it's been a great 11 years. Well, 10 going on 11. I look forward to see what this season has. But this is a really special place. And I don't think everyone understands that till you actually get in here and see it.
I always like to give the opportunity for head coaches to shout out their staff and the assistants too, because I know a head coach is only as good as the staff he puts around him. So in saying that, shout out the staff, shout out some of your assistants, shout out some just big names in the program that you'd like to right now.
Well, when I got hired, Phil Kilborn was my 7th grade coach, and he's still the 7th grade coach. He is a top-notch junior high coach, but he puts so much time in with us. Zach Fedesky and Joe Vivolo in 8th and 9th grade, 2 relative newcomers. Joe Vivolo is one of the best guys at getting a kid that maybe isn't thinking about playing or doesn't want to play to play and love it and enjoy it and stay in the program. And then at the varsity level, Mike Del Ben has 46 years of coaching experience. He's in the Girard Hall of Fame as a coach, as my top assistant. He is just as good as it gets. Everyone knows who Mike is. He's just been around a long time. John Cardero is our JV coach. His son Thomas and Chris are both playing for me. A good addition to the staff last year. He came on late for us, and a guy with a lot of experience. And then Pat Carden, he's a Struthers grad. He was an assistant at Springfield. He's with me for a second year, a guy that's most certainly going to be a head coach somewhere at some point in his life. But we're thrilled to have him with us. And, they do a lot of the work, even in practice, behind the scenes. And I don't think people realize how much assistants have to do and don't get to do the interviews and get their names in the paper and all the fun stuff. So anytime you can have a staff like I have, I'm very fortunate and very lucky.
Talking about your coaching career in particular, who's had the biggest impact on you as a coach, or what's maybe the best bit of advice you've ever received that you kind of still take with you as a coach?
I've been lucky. My Uncle Mark coached me at high school over in Union in Newcastle. And he's still coaching there, and obviously still my uncle, and I bounce a lot of things off him. And I've been really lucky to have him on my side since my playing career. I then went to college, played for Larry Ondeko at Westminster, and then coached with John Corey, who's a Boardman grad, coached at Struthers for quite a few years, and he was at Neshannock High School in PA and worked with him. I learned a lot from John on how to run a youth program, how to run a program from the bottom up. Then I did a year with Ken Grisdale at Poland, and I'm not sure there's a better name to throw out there, and learned about organization, how to plan a practice, how to keep everything in line. I've been lucky to it's like a jigsaw puzzle, man. I've taken pieces of everybody, including my staff that I have now, things that they've done in their past, and you put it all together and you figure out what works and what doesn't. It's been a really good mixture of guys and what they've taught me. And as far as a piece of advice, I don't. There's not really one thing I can say, but I know building a youth program and starting from that third, fourth, fifth, sixth grade level was one of the key things when I got to Girard, and maintaining that. And I think that's proved, that works. You have to be able to build from the bottom up. And we've been able to do that here at Girard.
How has your youth program fared through the COVID years? Because I know that's been kind of a point of challenge through schools of all sizes too. So that COVID year was kind of a turnoff to the sport. How's that? How have you fared through it? And what have you guys done? Whether or not you have good numbers or not through that, what have you done to kind of regain that interest in basketball in the community?
Well, I know during the COVID year, we weren't able to hold we hold the big league here at Girard with area teams. We weren't able to do that. We just kept the kids active and in the gym as best we could. We had a couple of days where our varsity kids were with the young kids, but it was hard. And I think everyone feels that. I think all sports feel that. Some of that interest isn't quite there, but you're trying to build it back, just talking with kids, keep their interest, keep them active as best you can. But yeah, it was definitely a challenge, and hopefully we never have to do that again.
I absolutely love the sport of basketball too. I think it's one of the best, if not the best sport too, especially at the high school level. And I'm excited to be able to hype you guys up and to try to aid and help hyping you guys up this season. But I want to give you the chance to hype yourselves up, a little bit of shameless self-promotion, if you will, too. Tell the community why they need to get out there and support this Girard basketball team this year.
Well, I think for the most part, we have 7 seniors that aren't going to be here next year. And they've been a group of guys that we enjoy. They're great kids. Since they were freshmen, they've always practiced well. They play their rear ends off. So I think if nothing else, you're going to come see a team that gives everything they have in that Girard uniform. And more than anything else, our schedule's good. The teams we play are good, and I think they'll be entertaining games. And I hope that we make this community proud. But more than anything else, that group of kids deserves a good last year here in a Girard uniform. So if we could get great crowds, more for them than anything else.
It is a place that is special, as Coach Hannon would say, too, and you need to get out there and see it in real life, too. Get out there, support Girard this season, and if you can't, you could find some Girard Indians boys basketball games on ysnlive.com for completely free, thanks in part to our wonderful sponsors. This has been a first edition of the 2022-23 Coach's Corner with Girard boys basketball coach Craig Hannon.